What's going on, YouTube? This is Jay Money here, and I am bringing you a little bit of a discussion because most of us already know what is coming. The moment Flames of Destruction hits the scene, but what I want to talk about is more along the lines of World Chalice and other link-based decks. Because for those who've just been shitting all over World Chalice for the longest time are about to really feel it in about a few months, because World Chalice and any other link-based deck is about to get a hell of a lot stronger and a hell of a lot better for multiple different reasons. There's so many things that I actually plan to enjoy. In fact, I'm going to buy so much sealed product of Flames of Destruction. Is unreal. There's so many amazing cards, but we're gonna start with some things like this Destroymare, this one Troymare that's looking at her. I don't think it's Ib of the World Chalice Priestess, because looking at the clothing and all that, I mean, it's a little darker, but you would think that this is actually crowned by the World Chalice, the vanilla. I think it looks a lot more like the vanilla than it does Ib, but they say it's Ib, being possessed, but it looks a lot like crowned to me. But anyway, going over some of these real quick, we all know what these really do. I like how a lot of people think Goblin will end up replacing Seraph Knight, but the problem with Goblin is it takes too much setup to actually get your extra normal, and generally by then it's like you need your extra normal very, very, very early. So it's just like, not only do you need to have a Link monster pointing down, but you need to have another Link monster that extends from that pointing down, and then you're gonna have to co-link, but you can still, but that's only if you want the draw. If you can just make a Link Karibo and then go straight into this and pitch a card to get your normal summon. I mean, you can do it that way, but you're still losing a card from hand. You're basically, it's like a symphonic engine, if you will, except without the possibility of Ash Blossom ruining your day, being able to not summon mics. But Mermaid, not really that good in terms of the generic purposes, but for the Troymare archetype itself, I can see it actually doing something. But we're gonna go ahead and see in World Chalice. I can see us using one of these. The Griffin by itself is really, really powerful. It can actually replace a Firewall. I mean, not because it gives us a card, but it's also just another Floodgate. It's a Floodgate monster that is very generic. It's got Firewall arrows, so we can easily make it once again. Any Link spam deck can go into this, and it'd be really good. It's better going first than going second. I think the Unicorn is a little bit better going second, because you can spin cards back to the deck. I love this one because, especially in Link spam decks and World Chalice and all, you can sit here and you can now replace Gaia Saber. Gaia Saber has got literally the same arrows. I didn't like it very much because of the fact that it just didn't have anything going for it. It had no effect at all. A lot of times I would already have a Tri-Gate down, and then I'll just end with the Gaia Saber. At least with this one, I get to pitch a card, cycle, draw me a card, and then spin a card back to the deck, which is pretty neat. So that's pretty good. Ending on this is more or less the same as ending on Baguska, because if you don't have any linked monsters, ain't shit activating. So if I have this pointing directly to Christia, or no, a Gamma Seal, then Gamma Seal can still use its effect, which is pretty bonkers. With these two, I'm not so sure about. I mean, let's see. One blows up a monster, one blows up a spell or trap. World Chalice they don't need it. Like, look at all these World Legacy cards. There's so many World Legacy cards that are just like pretty stupid. There is this one monster that was revealed today, actually. This little, I think it was Watch Cat. The Watch Cat, I can actually see it doing something, for digging out like any continuous trap like digging out a skill drain or digging out a lose a turn, digging out a like an anti-spell fragrance or an Imperial Order or something like that. I can see that actually doing something. You know, people don't think it's all that good, but you know, I read it on paper. I'm like, well, you can set any continuous. I saw a spell. I was like, Aura's Trap from the deck, so I can dig out skill drain, and I'm just like, huh. Thank God, emptiness is not in the game anymore. But you know, that's what we're at on these two cards. I see most Link decks using these two right here, and the Goblin for co-links. And when it comes to this Ibli, where's her effect at? It was here. Okay. But you know, regardless, we all know what she does. When you sit here and you if she's normal, you special summon a Link, which, you know, it's good if you can normal, but you know, every deck needs a normal for right now. But if she's sent from the field to the grave, you summon it to the opponent's side of the field, and they have to immediately summon a monster and go into like Proxy Dragon or something immediately, because otherwise they can't special, because they literally have to normal, eat their normal, and Link with this. I mean, I'll probably go back to my board, but you know, it's a nice soft lock. It's good for soft locking opponents. So like when I looked at it, I didn't think it was that good until I actually just started to think about it. I'm like, oh, I can actually, if my opponent isn't playing too many Link monsters, if they're playing if the only ones they're playing is Proxy and Decode, then I'm like, good luck. But this is where we're getting to the meat and the grind of this set as a whole. First off, if this is a World Chalice, I would definitely be playing this. Of course it's not, but, you know, whatever. Okay, we got another World Legacy. Is this a continuous spell? No, it's a field spell. Oh yeah, this one isn't that good. I want to talk about this one for a second, because this is a straight Infernity Barrier for any links that, any Link deck, or anything that is anything that can co-link. It's just an active Infernity Barrier that can get searched off a World Legacy World Chalice. I have to start saying the full name this time, because there's, you know, gonna be like a bunch more World Legacy monsters. So with that being said, I have to, you know, specify World Chalice. Now, looking at all this new stuff now, and then looking back at the original World Legacy, if World Legacy World Chalice allowed me to summon 2 World Legacies or World Chalices, World Legacy would be freaking busted. Just summoning armor and just searching another World Legacy card like this, you know, to just negate anything, just Infernity Barrier. You know, this one allowing you to Link summon, it's fine, I suppose. I mean, it only thing I see it useful in is like Knightmares or something, if you want to go for some sort of disruption. So there's that. This Cyclone thing, I can see it in the side deck. Really. I don't think it's that good, but this, I'm just looking at this, I'm like, you gotta be shitting me right now, really? We got yet another hand trap that we just do not need. You know, as if hand traps were already just not much problem enough, and then you just want to add another one to the mist that isn't as strong as Ash Blossom, but it's a little stronger than Ghost Ogre. But not as strong as Ash Blossom. So Ash Blossom stops anything that moves cards from the deck. This basically stops anything that moves cards from the graveyard. And so I'm just like, wow. Well, it's just like, I felt like the graveyard was like the one thing that we could actually just leave alone, so we can actually play the game. It's just like, so Ghost Ogre I can't play on the field, Ash Blossom I can't play on field or in hand. You know, the only thing you would have to play off of is your graveyard, and that's what made BA pretty resilient, because, you know, hand traps they didn't really do too much. I mean, the only one that was actually really good was Skullmeister, and that's because it could actually stop an effect. DD Crow just banished the card, but effect still went off. But now we got this shit to where it's just like, oh, you know, it's just like you know how many times people get hit with Ash Blossom but they just so happen to have the soul charge to where they can actually play the game. It's just like to where if I didn't have this soul charge, I would have lost the game. You know, now, you know, with this, you're probably gonna lose the game. So, congratulations, Konami. You just decided to make hand traps that cover every aspect of the game, making all these effects like damn near hardcore staples. I can't say with this. I mean, some certain formats I could see this in the side deck because there's not a lot of Grave Recursion right now. But there's a few. I mean, the fact that this can stop Firewall it's dumb. It's dumb that this can actually stop Firewall. Now, with this, I'm almost certain it's just like with this card coming out of the woodworks, I can almost say that at this point there's absolutely no reason to hit Firewall anymore when you have a card like this. When you have a card like this, why even hit Firewall? Like what I said the last video, most tier 1 decks right now don't even go into more than one Firewall anyway, so it's just like why hit it? Let the rogue strategies do what they do best and let them do them. But again, it's just I hate hand traps because it's just so not healthy because everybody has to play them against each other, and it's just like what kind of interaction is this? Is just, you know, I Ash Blossom you here, I chain this, I activate Gamma, then this person chains this, and this person over here is activating Ghost Ogre. It's just like how is that fun? How is that healthy? Like at all. Now this little Trickstar card right here doesn't look half bad. But this Trickstar card right here, the fact that this can get back banished reincarnations is actually pretty. I mean, the fact that it's a Elite 3 makes it a little bit more balanced. So if this required like 2 Trickstars, you know, that'd be pretty absurd. You would like, why go into Holly Angel when you can just go into this? And let's see, how do you get the banished cards back? If there are Trickstar monsters linked to this card, when this card declares an attack, you can target banished number, or banished a number of. You can target banished a number of your banished Trickstar cards up to the number of linked monsters your opponent controls. All right, add them to your hand, and if you do, this card gains 1,000 until the end phase. But the fact that you can just get multiple reincarnations to your hand is pretty stupid, and maybe that might warrant reincarnation getting hit to 1 rather than light stage. I don't know. But this Watch Cat, this is one that people might be sleeping on. Control no monsters, you special this from your hand. During the end phase, which this card was special summoned, you can banish this card as cost, so that hand trap can't stop this. Set a continuous spell card. Oh, spell card, not trap card. Oops, my bad. So you set a continuous spell card in your spell and trap zone. Okay. And of course it's during the end phase, so you know, I actually, if I was able to just banish this like during like main phase 2 or something, or banish this during still main phase 1, you know, I could actually start playing this with windups and fetch me windup factories for free. This isn't that good. Let's see. This is okay. There's that. This right here, this is the card where I'm just like, you know, Konami's actually listening to us. See, I thought the way to go would be to bring back Forceful Sentry and Confiscation, both to counteract these hand traps, because I knew they were going to just make more hand traps, and the hand trap dilemma would just get bigger and bigger and spiral out of control. And, you know, the format would just be literally half of the deck, like 20 out of 40 cards would just be hand traps at a certain point, and that's no fun for anybody. But this guy right here, the fact that it's a quick play makes this really good. The fact that I can go first or second, you know, attempt to break my opponent's board and actually be able to stop a hand trap so I can break the board is really key, because you can sit here and it says target opponent's monster opponent's graveyard. The banishes after the semicolon, so that new hand trap can negate this. But you do neg your opponent 2 cards. You know, if you're trying to respond this to an Ash Blossom, which I'm imagining so, then your opponent neg 2 cards just to make sure one effect doesn't go through. But the fact that if they don't have the new hand trap, and I do banish the Ash Blossom on their cost, it does turn off my Ash Blossoms, but at the same time I don't care, because I want to play the game. And it says till the end of the next turn, so even on your opponent's turn, it can be pretty crucial. So the fact that it's worded as such means you could actually main deck this card in certain aspects. So let's say I'm going second, and my opponent has a Firewall engraved, but a Firewall on the board, and I can banish their Firewall and turn off their Firewall. And, you know, it works that way, or it works going first, seeing as how hand traps are a thing. And so looking at that, and this other World Legacy card, which is actually surprisingly pretty good, but the fact that you have to hard draw it or search it turn 2 with Legacy, or activate it turn 2 after setting it with the Watch Cat, makes it, I don't know, iffy. Like, the moment we get a card that can just dig continuous spells is the moment that spells like these can actually be played. The problem with these continuous spells is there is still no card to search them. There is no card to search continuous traps either. So that is something that we are still yet to receive, but yet, you know, we can receive more and more hand traps, you know, as the years go by, and not give some of these archetypes that actually need support, like UAs and stuff like that. You know, no, we can't give those support, but let's go ahead and release more hand traps we don't need. This guy is kind of funny, and he can actually sit here and shit all over your opponent in the right circumstance. But the fact that you can't special it by itself, which means you have to special it off of a Firewall, makes it not worth running. If this was a level 4, this would actually, I can actually see this seeing some play, because this could just straight blow out your opponent. If you can sit there and just keep disrupting over and over again, just keep moving shit and blowing shit up in the columns, that's pretty good. This card, I can see it used in Super Heavy Samurais, and let's see, a deck like Lightsworn, maybe, because there has to be no spell and trap cards in the graveyard. Any deck that uses Fairy Tale Snow can use this card once, and it doesn't say you just can't activate anything for the whole duel if you activate this card. It's just once you resolve this, you can't activate any more for the rest of the duel. So I can play all my Charge of the Light Brigades, my Solar Recharges, you know, my trade-ins, my lures, my Brilliant Fusions. I can play all that. I can banish all of them for Fairy Tale Snow, so I can control no spell traps in the graveyard. Then I can draw 2 cards. So that's actually pretty good in a sense. Any deck that is really monster heavy that can play Fairy Tale Snow and or Super Heavy Samurais can play this card. This, I don't see many situations where this would come up, because things going from graveyard to hand. Let's see. So what if can you respond to this to a Firewall effect then? Because Firewall can add multiples, and I don't see any parentheses S, so I don't see that at all. But this guy right here, I like this guy. Considering this is in Flames of Destruction, and the Flame Destruction cover card specifically can banish back row face down, can just well, not face down, but just banish them. The fact that they can just banish back row makes me want to just, and like Cosmic Cyclone is just running around so goddamn much. Not only that, but you got things like Light Stage still in the game, still at 3. You got things like Spiral Sleeper that can just blow this shit up. There's so many ways to actually get this off. Like Time Pendulograph can blow this shit up, and or send it to the graveyard, which it still triggers. So literally every single deck that you go up against can trigger this card. I mean, it's a niche card, and you have to go first, which means I would side it. But if they literally start the turn off with a Cosmic Cyclone and banish this after I've already went first, and I go special summon Christia from the deck and just win the game, it's just like, what are you doing? You can't do anything, really. This one, I can actually see doing something. If there's like a deck with like a bunch of level 1, level 2s, like Paleos or something, you know, discard 2, draw 2s, and then bounce, I see that being okay. Okay, this Monster Reborn right here is actually not too bad. If you want to end up just bringing back any monster to continue a combo, it's good there. If you want to bring back an important piece, then you need 3 important pieces. Now, it doesn't say target 3 monsters in your grave with different names. It doesn't say that. So if I'm playing wind-ups, which I plan to play come Flames of Destruction, and I managed to go through all 3 of my wind-up rats, I can freely banish 1 or 2 of them to special 1 and let that be that. So if I have 3 of a certain card, I'm guaranteed to reborn that card, and that, not to mention Levier is still a card. So especially in wind-ups, like just doing your combos and then making Levier and bring back one of your banished rats that you just banished off of sponsored Reborn, it's pretty freaking nice. So what do we have coming up? We have 2, not 1 but 2 Monster Reborns. We have 2 different Monster Reborns in this set. You know, that one World Legacy Inheritor, don't forget, that's a Monster Reborn as well. That Inheritor, any Link monster on the board, you can just reborn any monster to a Link zone. And then you got Sponsored Reborn. They're both in Flames of Destruction. So we have 2 Monster Reborns. We have a counter trap that is an Infernity Barrier for co-link monsters. We have a trap card that punishes back row hate, which I always like cards that punishes back row hate. We have a Link 3 that spins a card back to the deck, draws a card, is generic. And then we have a Link 4 that recurs a spell or trap from grave, draws a card, and is a Floodgate, which is pretty bonkers. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be secret rare because any Link, I'm pretty sure everybody's knows, but every Link 4 in every set has been a secret rare, so I'm not surprised if it's a secret. So we have all that. We have a quick play that, as an actual hard counter to hand traps, this guy, this is gonna be my absolute, even though Windups is like my second favorite deck, this is going to be the one card I'm looking forward to out of Flames of Destruction because I am absolutely sick and tired of hand traps. This card right here is the card I'm going to get, and I'm not going to be surprised if it's a secret rare, but I don't care because I'm buying tons of Steel products. We have this, and then we have a hand trap that negates anything that moves things out of graveyard. We have all that shit. Then on top of that, we have the wind-up Link monster, which is good. And then on top of that, there is the possibility that we are getting Needle Fiber, BA Link monster, and or Summon Sorcerers out all in this same set. We have all this bullshit in the same set. This is actually a really good set. I can actually say without certain, this is another Duelist Alliance. This is another Duelist Revolution, D-Rev, the one with Effect Failure and Warning. This is another Maximum Crisis, because that was worth buying. This is another Raging Tempest. This set right here is gonna has so many good cards, so much value, that if you buy a box, like, you just can't lose. There's so many damn good cards, and they're probably all gonna be secret rare, so it's just like, I can't see any shitty secrets in the set at all. I think this is a set that's very worth getting. It's such a hype set. There's so many World Legacy cards. I'm just like, why don't these make a deck of World Legacies already? Like, But no, World Chalice are gonna be they're gonna be bonkers. So, when this set drops, here's how this is gonna go. People are going to pick up this new hand trap. Where are you at? Right about here. People are going to pick up this new hand trap, and they're going to splash it with their other hand traps, with Ash Blossoms and Ghost Ogres and shit like that. They're going to splash this. They're going to continue to get hit by this awesome little quick play spell over here. And or this will be responding to quick play spell, and then opponents are going, and then you can chain another one. You can chain another quick play spell. You know, when it comes to stuff like that. I honestly see people starting to main deck Psyframe Gear Alpha now, and not Gamma, but Alpha, the one that negates spell cards, because that card is actually a counter to hand traps. So people are going to run counters to stop counters to hand traps so they can counter their opponent. So this is going to be one big clusterfuck, one big mess of hand trap after counter after counter. Meanwhile, I'm still going to play Kaijus and evenly matched in the main deck and choose to go second every time. And these new hand traps combined with Ash Blossom still can't do a damn thing about it. Because, yeah, Kaijus don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about your board. They just Kaiju. There's no counters to Kaijus. The only counter to Kaiju is Vanity Spin, and or another Kaiju. But, so at this point, when people are tired of all these continuous counters, people will start moving, towards Kaijus, because then they will finally realize, hey, hand traps aren't the only, way for me to play the game. My opponent can play the game, I just Kaiju and break their boards, and that works. So people will move from hand traps to Kaijus, and or evenly matched to the main deck, because Kaijus still have no counter. Evenly matched doesn't really have a counter outside of Chaos Hunter, and or Mind Crush if they actually main deck it. And so when people are tired of the counters, they'll move to Kaijus and evenly matched, and then we're gonna have to readapt, because that's how this is gonna start. It's gonna start with a shit ton of hand traps, because that's what they think is the only way to play the game. Then this quick play spell is gonna start running around negating these hand traps. And then Psyframe Alpha is going to start being thrown in. And then Psyframe Gamma is going to come back in, because Gamma needs to negate the Alpha so the quick play spell can resolve. And then your opponent's going to reveal Psyframe Gear Gamma. And yeah. So it's just one big clusterfuck of just non-stop hand traps. So, or people are going to keep all these hand traps and they're going to draw a handful of them and not play the game. So this is going to be weird. This is going to be a weird ride. Again, World Chalice is going to get a lot stronger, because this whole time we had to main deck and play copies of Herald of Orange Light to actually counter hand traps. You had the neg a card in hand, even though it wasn't really a neg, because generally you're responding Herald to a Brilliant Fusion, to an Ash Blossom turn to negate Brilliant Fusion. So you just toss the vanilla, you dump Lazuli, and you get it back. So really though, I'd still keep Herald of Orange Light in my deck and just throw in 3 copies of the quick play spell, because just in case this is in main deck and I don't want the quick play spell getting negated, and so I will still play Herald and all that good stuff. And I'll keep I'll keep the evenly matched and all that stuff in the main deck, or keep the Kaijus in and put the evenly matched in the side deck or whatnot. But that is what I'm predicting is going to happen in terms of hand traps. You know, that these hand traps are going to start being heavily played. Then the quick play spell is going to come into the mix. If it doesn't immediately, then there's going to be counters to those quick play spells, i.e. Psyframe Alpha. And then people are just tired of all the counter, and then play Kaijus. Because, you know, it's something that I know for a fact, and I've seen this coming a while ago. And as I've said before, when it came to World Chalice, these blanks are going to be filled. Slowly being filled the more Link monsters that come out. So this quick play spell, that freaking quick play spell right here, that whole, World Chalice is a fragile deck because it gets stopped by well-timed hand trap, which is true, but hand traps weren't really a problem because, you know, World Chalice is just a pro at masking all their good effects by the chain link, so there's no opportunity to ash anyway. But this right here fixes that whole fragile problem because fuck hand traps. I just gotta say that now. I'm glad. I'm happy that Konami is actually listening. Now, they didn't bring back Confiscation and Forceful Century to limited status, so you know, if they weren't going to do that, I already knew they were going to make some broken ass card to actually counter hand traps that's broken, that can do more than what it's intended to do. Which, of course, it does, because it can also floodgate out monsters on board. You know, you can banish Licorice and stuff and stop other Licorice. You know, what did I told you literally like the last video that if they don't do that, they're probably going to make some broken ass card that is freaking like, that's really broken, that not only stops hand traps but does other things. And of course this does other things as I predicted. But anyway, that's it for this video, guys. This is a very, very interesting, this is a very good set. That's all I gotta say about that. There's nothing else to say. I'm liking this set. World Chalice is about to get really fucking good, really fucking quick. So, thank you guys for watching. This is J Money, and I'm signing out.